Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Irene Qua, Marketing Manager for HP Indigo, and I'm very happy that we're able to host this demo together with Starlet. And I actually want to immediately hand it over to Starlet, to Janis, so he can take over this session. The floor is yours, Janis.
Yeah, hello to everybody. I see that somebody else has joined also now. I did send out quick SMS maybe to say that maybe somebody forgot about the timing, but okay, I hope they will join just in a second, and then they will see maybe the more important part. Somebody maybe from you doesn't know, my name is Janis and I'm managing the digital business here in Starlet. And today, together with our main partner, with HP, we wanted to show what are the opportunities in the digital book printing, and not only the opportunities, but also the possibilities, because we see that this demand for digital print grows every year. And even more it grew last year. So because we see that also in our balance sheet, we see that digital is becoming more and more important. And of course, this is the same thing also in book printing. And also more and more digital printers are becoming more successful. So today, we will have quick event. So we will show what are our options, and most important, we will show also what are the trends and what are the numbers of existing digital book market. So when you see in agenda, so now it's event opening, what is done by me. Then next we will go to our colleagues from HP, and they will do the presentation about the digital book market, and also of course we will present some machinery, and at the end question and answers. So I hand over to our colleagues from HP, and hope you will enjoy the evening.
The evening, good afternoon. Janis, yeah, welcome. Yeah, we're flying between speakers, and we're flying between meetings, of course, today in a virtual world. So as I am in the Netherlands, I'm the technical consultant to Janis. I'm going to ask if the team in Barcelona is ready to run the demo, or Christina, would you like to say something? Or
I will start. Yeah, I will do some short presentation first.
Yeah.
Cool.
So hello everybody, I'm Cristina Moro, I'm based in Barcelona, I'm the commercial product and segment manager for EMEA. So before going to the demo, I would like to share with you some of the market trends that we are seeing now on the publishing market, well, in the commercial industry, but more specifically in publishing. And also how Indigo and PWP, that are the presses that we are going to demonstrate today, are addressing those market trends. So just to start, when we are talking about the trends, the first more relevant one that we should mention is, of course, the digital disruption. We are living in a digital era where the digital technologies are using almost all the aspects of life, and they are transforming as well our behavior and our needs. This is driving as well the transformation of every industry, including, of course, the printing, and especially relevant on the publishing printing industry. This image is a very good example of it. No? So in the past, the newspaper were a very important tool for entertainment and for getting the news. And nowadays we can see this replaced for many digital devices, computers, phones, tablets, no need to say. We are spending on average more than 6 hours per day connected to internet, and there we are bombarded with all type of digital content. This content is fighting for our attention and diminishing our span of attention, generating what is called an attention economy, where the companies are fighting for it, and the winners are the ones that succeed actually to connect with the customers. On this environment, the traditional business need to reinvent themselves to adapt to the new consumer habits. So they need to be online, they need to be very flexible and agile on the delivery, they need to offer unique product that stand out from competition, And they also need to have a very strong sustainability commitment in which the customers will feel identified. The pandemic didn't change these trends. In fact, it accelerated them 5 years ahead of where we would have been otherwise in terms of digital adoption. So the market will not go back to normal. We will keep on ordering online, our preference and needs will keep on changing. And in this new economic environment, there is an increasing pressure on costs. The electricity, the media, they are rising every day. They were doing it already very often, but now we can see it every day on the news, no? That especially the cost of the media are rising. In the publishing industry specifically, there have been 3 major trends that have been transforming it over the last years. First is the social media and the gaming that are competing for people's leisure time, and they are impacting on their reading habits. But not only that, Facebook and Google has become massive advertisement platforms. So part of the marketing budgets that in the past were spent on newspapers and in magazines now are being transferred to these social networks. The second is the rise of the electronic content and the ebooks. So there has been a big shift from printing books being sold to electronic versions, ebook or digital books. And finally, internet and the digital technologies are enabling new business models based on print on demand. This is making that new authors are becoming independent and self-publishers. Large companies that distribute books at large scale like Amazon are emerging, and the traditional industry has been impacted with some companies closing, others consolidating, and creating an atmosphere of uncertainty. So how is all this impacting the publishing segment? This graph is showing the forecast for the evolution of the publishing market along the next 10 years. First, we see that overall, the publishing market is declining. This is not a surprise because, as we just discussed, the electronic alternatives have been replacing some physical content, and the online advertisement is increasing at the expense of magazines and newspapers. However, while the death of the magazine and the newspaper was foretold for a very long time, we see that it didn't occur yet and is not expected to happen. On the contrary, this decline is slowing down. And on the other hand, it's also very interesting to see the case of the print books, where the publishers 5 years ago, they expect that they will go purely digital, is no longer the case. The demand for printing continues and is even expected to grow. So the industry is no longer worried about the demise of the printed books, but is now expected that digital and printed will coexist, and the consumption of this will depend on the physical situation of the reader. There are many studies that say that the human brain retains better the information when it's printed than when it's in an electronic device. And we see that reflected, for example, in interviews done to students. They say that when they are in lectures in class, they prefer to use digital tools. But when they are studying, even the computer science students, they prefer to use the printed versions. So it doesn't mean that the market will not change. The world is getting digital and publishing is no exception. So even if the printing books are still being sold, the sales are moving online and they are creating shorter and more frequent runs. And we see that this trend is then favorable to digital printing. So now it's growing on revenue and in share of market versus analog. Nowadays, the digital part of the publishing printing, is 10%, but it's expected in the next 10 years to grow to the 25% of the industry. And as mentioned before, out of all the different verticals in publishing, the huge opportunity for digital printing is in the book production. The digital book revenues are growing for the publisher year over year, and they are expected to triplicate their growth over the next 5. And this is because the industry has recovered and rebounded from the retail consolidation and this explosion of the ebooks. And we now actually start to see the benefit of being able to provide to the readers the book that they want, when they want, but in physical form. This is leading to an increase of the print-on-demand order versus the traditional books that were printed to be sent to a warehouse. Other factors that are accelerating the digital adoption are the cost pressures. All the companies in every industry are looking into minimizing the risk, reducing the inventory and the warehousing. And the publishers are transforming their operations around this to capture supply chain efficiencies. So this is opening new great opportunities for digital printing. They are utilizing the short runs and the fast turnaround times to better match the supply to the demand and less the dependence on forecasting. And they are also looking into reducing the inventory and the costs of the waste, saving money. This is very important for the publishers because 20 to 40% of the printed books are not sold or they are returned. On top of the cost efficiencies, they can also utilize digital to increase their revenue and increase their margins. The fast time to market enable to capture the opportunity at the moment it appears. And in a very fast environment, this is very important, not to be able to deliver on time. And then the short runs enable to test in new niche market, special editions or applications. So there are new business opportunities with no risk because you can print few units and if it doesn't work, you don't continue. Then, thanks to all this, even on the scenario where printing a digital book will cost exactly the same that printing a physical book, an offset book, the real cost will be significantly lower on digital because after eliminating all the overheads and the cost of return, this is making a difference. We should also highlight the environmental advantage that digital print brings. Sustainability is becoming very important for consumers, especially the younger millennials or Generation Z, but also for the governments, they are putting stronger and more strict regulations regarding environment. All the paper and the emissions coming from the publishing industry have been always a topic of concern, and now they are being addressed at least partially by the capability to print only what is needed when it's needed, reducing that 20 to 40% of waste we were discussing about. And as mentioned, digital print not only helps to reduce the cost, but open new opportunities to premium added value content. Now we can easily create many different versions of the same product in different languages. We can do personalized experience like a magazine that is signed with the hand letter of Kim Kardashian to the subscription. This is a real example. Or personalized cookbooks, children books, many different possibilities. One example of the success of this combination of personalization and e-commerce is the rise of the digital personalized books, specifically the children books that are becoming very popular. Those are the books that you can go to a web portal, put the children name, their likes, dislikes, preference, even you can create an avatar that looks like the kid. And those books are sold online. They are being very successful with thousands of copies sold and many small publishers emerging, creating this type of business. So we have a very nice example on Indigo about the great premium added value this book can have. One of our customers in Germany print a Christmas special edition for one of these startup companies. And they include the hidden message with invisible ink. The invisible ink is invisible to the naked eye, as the name indicate, but when it's glowed with the UV light, it shows a hidden image. So they include this hidden image along the book, and it together with the small lamp, so the book at the lamp was priced $99, much more than any other 32-page book could cost, but it was a success because of the value it brings. It's a unique, beautiful present that connects with the customer, provides a unique experience, and is probably a memory that the children will keep for years, even when it's an adult. This example was very sophisticated, but there are more simple ones like the Tasty Cookbook. This was born out of a web page that is a very popular videos web that are featuring videos of easy to make recipes. So they decide to jump to the physical world by offering personalized cookbooks. So you could just go to the web page, choose your favorite recipe, and receive your personalized book with your recipes at home. It became viral. They sold thousands of copies at $25 if it was soft cover, $39 for the hardcover. And after it created many different versions, not only for personalized, but also static books. So they start to do tasty for desserts, for vegetarians, for kids, creating a new brand and a new business of printing books out of what originally was just digital. And within all the different digital providers for solution on the publishing print, HP is the industry leader. We have a very wide portfolio of workflow, presses, finishing partners to deliver end-to-end solutions. So before jumping to the demo, I would like to give you a very short introduction of the technologies we are going to display that are Indigo and PWP. They are based on two unique proprietary technologies, the thermal inject in PWP and the Indigo liquid electrophotography on Indigo. They coexist and they complement each other. So PWP offers a web solution for mid to long run work, delivering a very productive and very efficient print per cost for low coverage. In Indigo Commercial, we offer mainly sheet-fed presses for short to medium run production with offset print quality, ideal for medium to high coverage with top quality. So if we look at the different range of applications, usually Indigo is the best for book covers because of the offset look and feel and the wide range of media. And it's also the best for very high quality work in medium to high coverage, like can be coffee table books, children books, magazines. PWP is the best solution for low to mid coverage, longer runs, like could be trade books, newspapers, textbooks, scientifics, although there is not a 100% clear split, so depending on the application, both Indigo and PWP could address different types of applications. And to finalize, what I would like to mention is that those press are designing thinking on the reality of the publishing print companies today. So despite the analog printing market is declining, it will not disappear. And in HP, we are not aiming to completely replace offset, but to complement it. So driving the increasing number of jobs that are more convenient and profitable to be run on digital to digital, and this will also free up some offset capacity, maximizing the efficiencies into both types of technologies. On top of it, we are addressing and helping to respond to these new market demands that can only be done digital, like the short ones, the versioning, the personalization that create higher value and higher margins. So with this, I let you go to the demo and see the real presses live. If you have any question, we can take them at the end of the session.
Come on, mute. Make up your mind, Zoom. All right, so let's see if the team in Barcelona is ready for us. We should have two presses nicely warmed up for you to go live and not recorded to Barcelona. I see that we're already there, so I'm gonna disappear from the screen again. As said, the questions can be answered in the Q&A, or you connect directly to Yanis and ask the question to him. At the end, we will be opening up for a question and answer session if there is the need for it. But for now, I'm going to hand you over to the team in Barcelona and wish you a very nice demonstration.
Now better. Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, we hear you now.
Sorry, I was speaking to myself as usual. My name is Rafa, and today I'm going to be your guide, your tourist guide, through this little paper eater, our PageWide Press T250 HD. Let's begin from the beginning, from where we load the material. At this very moment, while I'm going to do the explanation and the introduction for our press, we are running 2 books full color at a speed of 130 meters per minute. But let's go and see what is the beginning of our web-fed solution. As a web-fed, we need to begin with a web feeder. In this unwinder, the one we have present in the JC is not the only one available for this solution. We have the possibility to load roughly 1 ton of paper from 20 centimeters wide up to 55 centimeters width, with a paper range that goes from 40 GSM up to 250 GSM. That means we have a very generous range of options to run and to cover any printing needs in your segment. Straight after our web vision solution, we find the web guide. The web guide is nothing but the solution we use on the press to have all the time center the paper in the input and in the output. So it's all the time working and balancing any kind of misregistration physically on our entrance. What we find straight after the paper enters in the press is what we could call our print engine, our first arc of printing to print the first side of the paper, because this press is duplex. So in the same moment we enter the paper on the press, we are able to print both sides of the paper. First, what we find, if the optimizer station, which at this very moment is not working because I'm printing an inkjet optimized paper. But if we were using one of your most typical offset coated or uncoated paper, then you don't need to add an additional priming unit. Simply, the press will know it needs to engage the optimizer and use it as if it was another ink. Straight after the optimizer, we got the 2 channels for black, 2 channels for cyan magenta combined, and last, our yellow channel. We apply the full image content in one strike. Strike is not the best way to say it because there is no contact between the print heads and the paper. So the image is applied through the drops that have been ejected through the print heads, and on the fly, they are precisely located on the paper. Straight after, we apply the 100% of the image at a speed that can go from, remember, 30 meters per minute up to 152 meters per minute. We dry the first side of the paper, making the paper go down through the first chimney. After the first side is dry, we move it to the second side, and we find our second arc, which is basically a mirror of the first. First, we find the optimizer, our fluid that enable us to print on any kind of paper, not only on inkjet treated. Then the 2 print bars for the black, the 2 print bars for the cyan magenta, and the yellow. And after that, the paper goes the same path as before. Go down to the second chimney of the dryer. That dryer is basically infrared that heat the environment and a constant flow of air circulating that is power enough to dry a full coverage, full color, medium to high coverage. After we dry the second side, the paper goes up towards our second drying unit on top, our DEM, to be absolutely sure before we reach our vision system. I'm gonna go now in a minute to explain what the vision system is. Everything is gonna be dry enough to be ready basically for finishing. Vision system, or our IPC, as we call it technically, is nothing but a set of spectrophotometers that we got in line that allow us to linearize and give a much more accurate control of the color on each one of the papers you manage. It's only available to use them, not during the production, but every time we load a new paper and we want to get a very accurate color match. So the IPC is built by the spectrophotometers at the entrance, but also by 2 cameras, 2 sets of cameras that cover those up to 55 centimeters paper width and are constantly, as I hope you can see well, constantly capturing frames of the content we are printing in order to, let's say, verify the content we are printing is the content we submitted. But the vision system only doesn't only have that purpose. More important also is the main actor. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm getting a nice question here from Daniel.
Sure.
So how without contact with the surface, the ink drops are being crisp and not smeared at this speed? Because, you know, with this high speed, getting the drops, yeah?
Yeah. That's like the question that I was about to get into now. Cool. That is the other part of the job of the vision system. Before to print on one specific paper at a certain speed, we need to calibrate it. We do not calibrate every time we are going to print on that paper at that speed. But if it is the first time, then yes. That calibration, among many other things, what it does is to tell the press in which moment, in which precise moment, and with which frequency they need to shoot the ink drop in order to get into the right position of the paper. Remember, it's almost like an offset press with different colors. We, at the end, managed to not being physically in the same place to end all the colors in the same place. We register all the colors. In an offset is through a mechanical procedure. In here is simply the vision system estimate through the previous process what is the distance between one print bar and the next print bar and align those shooting. Once you do that calibration, the vision system recorder pass that information to the print engine and nothing else is needed. I guess you got samples on your hands. If not, you will have them soon. And you can evaluate by yourself what is the accuracy, even on the black text, where we got two different print bars, two different lines of print heads to print any black content. The alignment is justifying the salary we are paying to our business system, let's say, if it was a person. Is that answering your question on how we align all colors?
We are aligned. I think we are aligned, Daniel. Yeah, thanks for the answer. It sounds really unbelievable. I do have to say, the first time I was exposed to it, it did look a little bit like magic, but now I'm getting used to the magic, so it's okay.
Yeah, sadly, it happened the same to me. Now I do not appreciate enough the effort of the vision system on that matter. So vision system does two main tasks. First, analyze our quality, and second, align color to color. Also, it gave us the aspect from the front to back alignment. Do not remember that we are printing in duplex, we are printing duplex on the fly, and there is no mechanical adjustment. Everything is managed by the software. So the operator basically needs to make muscles with his finger. That's it. But, to load the paper, yes, you require kind of physical workout, but nothing different to any other website press. Straight after, within the workflow, we find the option to re-moisture our paper. We are stressing it through drastic changes of humidity and heat, since we are using a water-based ink. Do not forget that they are water-based, very, very low content in volatile organic components. Totally the-inkable whenever you need to, when the life of the printed product goes to an end. That book, that job, that content can be recyclable, and the ink can be removed from the paper and is certified for the standard paper mill procedure to recycle the material. But since we are applying a huge amount of heat in a very short time and changing the humidity of the paper through the ink apply and through the dryer, we might need to re-moisture the paper in order to guarantee our output is going to be a flat paper and not a wavy, due to that difference between the environmental humidity and the paper humidity. So this is the station we got straight after the vision system. We re-moisture the paper. And the last ink the demo center configuration is our winder. And I specifically mentioned in our demo center environment because that is something that every customer can modify, personalize. If you're interested on having an inline finishing to sheet, fold, and even central binder, you can have it all in line within the same press. And you can have both. You can have a diverter, a tumbler, that whenever you need, you will print roll to roll or divert to a roll to sheet. That is totally up to you, and it depends on your workflow or in your intended workflow. Even you can begin with a classic roll to roll configure, and after a couple of months, years, or whatever, you can decide and implement a different output. Also, didn't mention at the beginning, but our feeder can be used with a zero splice solution, which means if you are used to batch several short runs, or simply you are running long runs with enough flow to justify, save the time that takes to change a reel and make the operator be valuable in a different task, you can install a zero splice feeder, which means the press will not need to stop after you finish your paper. All those solutions through different partners of HP can be consulted by Ono, my colleague that is on this call, or any other solution architect at will. It depends on your needs. We can find the physical and software workflow that suits better to your needs. But now, if you allow me, I'm gonna introduce to the thermal inkjet printheads we have, and also speak a little bit about how we maintain our printheads in good health status.
Good health and condition. So can we also run, let's say, long-term production only monochrome on this press?
Sure.
Because it is a 4-color press, of course, with the optimizer, but could it also be, if I only print monochrome?
Correct. I'm gonna set up the job. I got it ready. Please pay attention. Before our printheads went down, all of them, now only the 2 black stations are gonna engage to be printing. So yes, as Rian mentioned it, you got a 4-color press, but you don't need to be printed in 4 colors all the time. If you have just the guts of a book, which is pure text, you don't need to be wasting the rest of the colors and the rest of the consumables. They are gonna remain capped, totally safe, and they can be capped without any use for up to 2 weeks.
Okay, that's interesting.
Without any maintenance. We are printing now in mono. Soon we'll be able to see the paper path. And only black has been engaged. Cyan, magenta, yellow are lifted, and the printheads are capped.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. So in terms of, let's say we have just made a change in our press. I don't know, it depends on the technology you are managing in your offset press, but how long normally it takes for you to change the job, to change from CNYK, all the plates, to what just K, or simply to another CNYK, different plates. Either on the automatic plate replacement, it takes some time, plus together the plates themselves. In here, it's just a matter of clicks. You got the job submitted. The ripping process of 300 pages book is seconds, is matter of 30 seconds, and you got the file ready to be printed.
So if your workflow is correct and you would batch all those jobs on material, that they all run on the same material, you could actually run infinitive.
Absolutely. If you got the zero splice, for instance, and you can feed the press as soon as the press is printing. So you don't need to stop the press to feed with new jobs. You are printing a CNYK and you want to continue printing CNYK, and you can continue feeding the press with new files, even unattended through a hot folder. So you don't need precisely the operator to be feeding the press with files, just need an operator to be sure you are not going to run out of paper.
Yeah, and I'm getting a question in, and it looks like we're having an Indigo user on the line as well. So is it possible to print with metallic or neon or Pantone color inks? And this is a classic question, of course.
I wish, but in this case, we are limited to CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. We cannot use special inks, but with the, let's say in a different segment, the corrugated ones, they got the 6 colors. They got the expanded gamut with orange and violet. In here, we cover a very decent area of the Pantone guide and Fogra, even the uncoated area, and Fogra 51 and 52, we cover pretty well just with cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Sadly, no, we cannot add special inks.
Nah, but then I think also those are the kind of jobs that will require a high specialty, and then we'll move over to the Indigos. Huh?
Correct. In a few minutes, you will see those needs covered as well.
Yeah. Well, if the Indigo could run as fast as this PageWide, it's really nice. We had a comment over here that this is a how do you call it, sci-fi spaceship reactor. And then I told them, but bear in mind, this is the smallest spaceship in our fleet of our production systems.
Indeed, indeed. We are showing here the 50 centimeters wide, the 20 inches. That's why the 200 on the name. But it has 2 bigger sisters, the T400, which has 1 meter width, also with a duplex option, and which also can go much faster than this one. We can go up to 183 meters per minute in a wider paper with the same quality. And the T1100, but that is different category and it's different segment, is for corrugated.
Yeah, that's a league of its own.
So what to do if we need to replace a printhead? You may be worried. Sorry, I'm getting old. My back hurts. This is the most similar element or our comparison to a printing plate, a printhead. It is a consumable, which means, yes, we need to replace it, but also it means that our print quality is going to be the same the day first and the day after 10 years using the press. And I mentioned 10 years because this platform was launched more or less that time ago, and we got customers that have been able to upgrade their press because the frame, the structure is exactly the same. So we can upgrade the technology inside the press to be printing with the latest features we have launched. We have changed it a couple of times, the kind of printhead, without the need to change the press. Totally upgradable and suited to satisfy your needs, again, for very long time without lose the value of your investment. But printhead itself, we got 5 of these printheads per color, or more specifically, per print bar. We got 6 print bar per side, therefore we got 60 printheads in total. They had an average lifespan of 80-100 liters, and we got them warranted for 15 liters, which means you are not going to need to replace the printhead after the warranty. I can ensure if you maintain the press and you work, you consider the press as another employee that you need to take care of it to last very many long years at your service. the lifespan is much higher than the average. And again, the fact of having it as a consumable warranties you the same quality the day first and the last day of its life. Image quality is going to remain the same because this is the main actor, together with our vision system, that guarantees our accuracy and in the drop position. But within the printhead, we got a plenty and huge and vast number of nozzles. Not each nozzle is basically the hole through where the ink is ejected. And we got two different physical sizes, what we call the high drop weight and the low drop weight. Why to have two different drop sizes? This is something added since we name it as HDNA, high definition nozzle architecture, is what allow us to go up to 2400 dpi resolution in the output. Is because we are combining, it depends on the area, to cover the high drop size to cover, let's say, the darkest area or the solid areas, and the low drop weight for the details and transitions. Some of the technologies use a different way. Even HP before, many years ago, used a different way to create different drop sizes. Most common is to fire them in a high frequency to make them join during the fly. That is also kind of, when you see the video, is also kind of magic. Here we decided, no, we are going to have a trench dedicated to that size and another trench dedicated to that other side. That allow us to stress less the printhead itself. And also allow us to go to the 3 different qualities we can offer within this press. We mentioned before we can go up to 152 meters per minute on this press, on the T250. Whenever we choose that speed, we need to focus on 1200 resolution in output. We are gonna use only the high drop weight, except for the black. We can use the black with a higher resolution, and the rest of the color with a normal resolution, 1200. 1200 is what the market in inkjet is offering.
That's 1200 DPI, yeah?
DPI, always a dot per inch.
Because I'm getting a question here, just to be sure, it can print up to 200 LPI screening.
We do not have a screening as the screen you will know in offset or in Indigo later on.
Exactly.
We have a stochastic screening. Is made, it's quite hard to find a pattern then, because we basically drop almost randomly the dots of the 4 colors spread to create the image. If you got the samples in your hand and you got a magnifier, you can take a look. That chaotic pattern of dots spread, that when you look without the magnifier represents a pretty well formed image, is called stochastic screening.
Or FM screening.
As well. When
it's easier.
When it's took from in the offset industry, is more known, that one, the FM.
Another question I got, since we're at consumables, and I need to break your story on the printheads.
No.
So if we would now change to a complete different roll of material.
Mm-hmm.
So we've emptied the print queue and now we have to load a complete new roll of material end to end. How much time would it take?
Roughly, in my case, I am not the fastest operator because I got too many other qualities, but in my case, not being a pure operator, it took me roughly 5 minutes.
Okay.
If you got your layout set up and a person that exclusively dedicated to print, that time will be lower.
So full material change and width, it's just 5 minutes and then we're done.
Between 5 and 7 minutes is the time normally it takes to me.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Welcome. So I mentioned about the printheads. It's one of our main consumables that also is purely related to your image quality. How we keep them in good status. We are going to launch now a very short video where we show what happened between the runs, which I mean, before I set up a run to print, and after that run is ended. We got what we call web-wide cassettes performing the maintenance to our printheads. So please, Pau, can you run the video?
HP PageWide web presses include user-replaceable cassettes that wipe the printheads and absorb ink ejected from spitting and drop detection. During a service cycle, the cassette advances from a supply roll to a take-up roll, providing fresh material while in contact with the nozzles. The cartridge is designed for hundreds of wipe cycles, and the printer's user interface notifies the operator when the web has been consumed.
Good. As promised, was a very short video. And this is a web-wide cassette itself, the one you saw on this animation. It's basically a cloth rolled in two cassettes that allow us to do not perform any ink waste. We are not purging ink before any production or as a maintenance every morning whatsoever. We do not waste ink. We simply make a motor push the web-wide cassette and make this sponge push versus the nozzles plate and wipe them. So the only ink wasted is going to be transferred by capillarity to this web-wide. That is enough. It's all the intervention the press need to keep the image quality and to keep the printheads in good status, let's say. Now we spoke about ink. We have spoken a lot about ink. You might imagine that a press these characteristics it's going to require a much constant ink supply, right? It's an industrial press. We do not want, or we want to minimize as much as possible this non-productive moments. Then our ink farm is another part of that mindset, of that HP industrial mindset. Let's go together. We have in a different room. And also, in your case, in your home, you can have it as well, located at will in a very long distance range. This is what we call the RITS, or the ink farm, the remote ink transfer unit, or the ink farm. We call it ink farm because with this setup, you can fit up to 3 different presses. If you begin with one, and later on you realize, oh, I can make money with this technology, I want to add another unit, you don't need to, you can save this part if you're going to use the same facilities. So you can fit up to 3 different presses with this layout. Each color is supplied in a 200 liters barrel. They are being pumped through the barrel to our secondary ink tank next to the press. In this case, we have it together with the press. There we got another sub-tank with roughly 30 liters of ink. Therefore, whenever we run out, or we see we are running out of ink on the main station, we can perform the change of the replacement of the barrel without stop the press. The press will have enough ink on their reservoir tanks to keep running, to keep producing full color, full speed, without any risk to run out and to have to stop. I mentioned before they were water-based, and that's, I think, is worth to reinforce the message for the environmental conditions mentioned as well by my colleague Christina at the beginning. Do you have any further question about the ink transfer, ink service into the press?
I don't see any further questions nor in the chat or in the question answer, but for me, so how far can I place the ink farm away from the press?
The exact distance, I'm not able to share it now. I don't know it, but I know that you can even place in a different floor.
Okay.
So the ink farm on the basement or in the main floor, and the press in the basement or in a second floor.
Okay. So that's...
in this case, in the demo center, which is again a conservative scenario, we got it roughly 15 meters distance, 20 meters distance in a completely different room. Actually, we have it on an Indigo servicing room family.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
So any other questions from the audience?
We're gonna move up in front of the press.
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to tease them to ask us more questions. No, I don't see any further questions. There you go.
So I guess I would like, and I really want to encourage you to make further questions, not necessarily now, offline to Janice or to any other HP colleague. And we are more than willing to receive your documents if you want to evaluate your own file, your own usual production files printed on this technology in order to compare if they could coexist in your current environment or not, which I will say I'm feeling brave today, and I will say they definitely can coexist.
Okay, hold on, but now I'm getting a question. Oh, we're getting multiple questions. Can we vary the ink consumption using GCR component generation?
Absolutely. The color management of this technology is nothing different to any other color management. You need, if you want to use your own ICC profiles, at the moment to generate them, you can play at will with a GCR level, even with other factors in order to reduce the amount of ink consumed. And actually, as well, if you are mentioning that question, I guess I assume you are knowledgeable enough to know how to evaluate how much are you gonna sacrifice your gamut in order to get an ink saving. That is totally exactly as any other print technology. I would say easier because since the test to the production is just this.
Mm-hmm. So I think that almost answers the second question, which is are you using different ICC profiles or pre-press settings? But I think you almost covered it.
Yes. However, HP provides, since the beginning, a full set of color strategies and color setups that covers all the range of paper options you have, from uncoated to coated, gloss, matte, and satin. That is, let's say, to enable you install the press and you can produce the day after. However, I as well encourage to the people to take the control of the quality, making their own color management. But that is up to your current workflow. You can work with the standards HP provide, or you can work with yours.
Okay. Let's see. In terms of print test. Okay, Daniel. Yes, and I see that we've got a first request to do some printing testing with different settings. So we have the people from Starlet already on the line. So yeah, there's somewhere coming your way. You're going to be challenged. That's good. Because we love that challenge. So yeah, on that note, I think we're almost getting close to the end of your part of the demo on the PageWide Press T250 HD. I would like to say to everybody in the audience, if your countries allow travel to Barcelona or to Spain, our demo center is open for live demos, for tests, although it is limited. And yes, we have policies in place. PCR tests are required. But if you really would like to touch and feel and run a demo with that press with a limited audience, we are open to host you there. So just on that note, we don't have to be stopped by Corona to look at the press. Yeah. Cool.
I would like to thank you for your time today. And I would like also to wish you have a very good time with my colleague Adam in a few seconds.
Thank you very much. It was great to see the PWP systems again. So, so let's see. I think then we have to look if my colleague Adam is ready. There we see a familiar face, 2 thumbs up. Adam, I leave it up to you with the HP Indigo part of our story.
Thank you very much, Reen. So welcome to the HP Indigo part here in our Barcelona demo center. My name is Adam Berndt. I am a pre-sales consultant for Indigo platforms in general. And today I really want to show you what you can do with the HP Indigo 12,000 that you see right behind me. And then we will move to the HP Indigo 100K. So that is like the new flagship model that was just launched by HP last year. And I want to show you all about it. Now, actually, my colleague will take the camera and will follow me. And I want to show you first the feeder. I will quickly walk through the press, explain you a bit about the technology without going too much into detail. And then, of course, we're going to print something. And we want to show you how this machine can benefit you in combination to a PWP inkjet press or also as a standalone machine. And actually, I think I will be able to take my mask off in a moment because I'm alone in front of the camera, so you will hear me better and you will see me better. Very good. Now, we come to the feeder part, and I let my colleague settle for a moment. And here we see the machine comes at a standard with 2 drawers and a pile. Now we have the 2 drawers here, and we have the pile here. This setup allows us to be very flexible in terms of addressing different needs. Maybe you only need to print 50, 100 copies of a cover to complement the books that you just printed, or maybe 500 sheets. Then you can easily load the drawer. It's very convenient. You just push the button, the drawer goes down, and you can open it. While this is happening, let me quickly take my mask off. It makes it easier for everybody. Excellent. Thank you very much. Now, of course, the drawer is much faster than that, so I could have opened it earlier. And when we look in here, you will actually see something else that can be really interesting, and that I want to show you in a moment. We can, of course, print on normal white paper, but we can also print on dark media, on transparent media, on other colored media. So if you want to give your books, your publishing applications, a special touch, a special look and feel, special colors, special media, you can do that with the HP Indigo 12,000 or 15K. Just for you to know, we have here a 12,000 plus value pack. That means the press is basically upgraded to be almost a 15K press, which is the newest version of this very versatile printing machine. So very versatile. Why? Because one of the things is we have different kinds of media that we can use, as mentioned, colored paper, white paper, synthetics, etc. We can, of course, use small format, which would be that one. So we have a minimum of around 330 millimeters in length and 510 millimeters in width. But of course, our maximum format is slightly bigger than B2. It is 75 centimeters by 53 centimeters. That is the biggest we can print. And between the maximum and the minimum, you can do whatever you want. Now, you, of course, are also interested in thickness and grammage. Now, for the covers, of course, we want to have thicker material. You can go to uncoated and coated material up to 450 microns as a standard. Simplex and duplex printing, no problem. So 450 microns is the maximum as a standard option. There are options to go even thicker. We can go into detail for that in a private session if you like to, but let's stick to the 450 micron thickness at the moment. Now, you, of course, can go low as well. Maybe you have a very short series of books, just 20, 30, 40 units or copies that you want to print. And maybe the Indigo is just the right fit for that because the PWP is just busy with some long and really important production, well, then you can even go down to 70 microns. 70, 65, 70 microns is our minimum thickness on the 12,000 and also on the 100K. So you see a very wide range, 70 microns up to 450 microns for these presses. Very well. Now, that is the media so far. Now, I told you that we have drawers, so drawer number 1 and number 2, and we have a pile. Now, the pile allows us to be prepared for longer production, especially our friends from the offset world like these, of course, and we dedicate this usually to really long runs. And the good thing is I can, of course, operate the pile, I can put more paper in, etc., while the machine is running from the drawer. So we don't have to stop the press while we are preparing the next jobs. That's really important. It keeps our productivity high, and we're very effective and efficient when we work with this machine. It's a very simple setup. We have here a nice display telling us which material is loaded at the moment. We have the name, we have the thickness, the weight, and then we have also the format. And by default, all formats and thicknesses that go into a drawer also go into a pile, meaning 70 microns minimum, 450 microns maximum, and maximum 75 times 53 centimeters of image format. So very easy to use. I just push this button, the pile will go back up, it will center itself, and it will be ready for production as soon as this light down here is turning green. So it is actually setting itself up fully automatically. We don't have to take care of anything else, and we are ready to go. Very quick, very easy. Here, of course, as well, if you have any questions, please don't be shy to ask them. I'm happy to answer everything you might want to know. If it's longer and more complex questions, we're happy to have a one-on-one session at a later time, either virtually or, as Wien already mentioned, if you want to come and fly over to Barcelona, no problem. Very good. Now, we have seen the drawers and the pile, very good, very easy. Of course, the machine has a multi-pick sensor, meaning that if there are two sheets being detected at the same time, what we don't want, both sheets are being diverted into a bin. We see that here. And the machine will continue printing with the next sheet. So the machine doesn't stop. Again, productivity is high and productivity is good, and the machine takes care of these unexpected situations. Very good. Now, that is all the feeding part. And to really make things a bit more interesting, let's have a look at our print engine. Now, if we look at our print engine, what we see is that we have a number of drums, and I will show you a short video in a second. Before I show that, I quickly want to show you also why Indigo is often referred to as digital offset printing. This is mainly the case because we have two elements that are similar to offset printing. One is our printing plate. Now, if you look at it, of course, it has nothing, it looks nothing alike a printing plate from the offset world. Now, here we have an aluminum foil, and this foil is being used for all of our separations that we're going to print on the machine. And I will show you the video in a moment to understand better how it works, because it's very visual and it's very nice. But other than that, we also have a blanket. Now, a blanket is very well known from the offset world. And because we're using direct contact and pressure like an offset printing, we have a very high quality, very similar to offset printing quality. And that is the main strength also of the Indigo world, that we have really high printing quality at a good speed, which we'll recover in a moment, thanks to this digital offset process. To understand it better and also to get an idea of the inks, I will ask my colleague Pau to run the video, and after that, we're going to continue. So let's run the video.
It all starts with 1 micron of unlimited potential. These encapsulated pigment particles form HP Indigo electro inks. Their unique structure makes them pigment agnostic, enabling you to print with the largest variety of colors and spot inks digital printing has ever seen. When you press print, a laser array composes your image as an invisible electrostatic field on the photo imaging plate. This operation provides a roadmap for the electrically charged inks and has been scientifically engineered for razor-sharp accuracy, allowing each particle to be attracted to where it belongs and away from where it doesn't. The precisely placed ink is then transferred in direct contact onto a heated blanket, which melts the pigment-carrying particles into a smooth film. With every color separation, this thermal offset process is repeated, laying down a perfect tapestry of electro ink until your image is fully developed. The blanket then applies this single layer of film to your media in one piece, already dry and custom tailored to match every contour on the surface of your substrate, from coated paper to metallized to canvas. Because the electro inks have been transferred in direct contact at every step, the result is unmatched, and coverage and substrate have virtually no effect on quality, even at the highest speeds.
Excellent. So that was the video, a short summary of how HP Indigo technology works. Now, you've seen one or two things where, and maybe you're already experienced with Indigo, and you may say, hey, that is strange. For example, one shot. We mentioned that we apply all the inks one after the other to the blanket, and in one shot, we're going to apply all the inks at one time to the paper. This mode exists. It exists mainly for synthetic material. If we talk about paper material, then we usually have one round, one separation, so one ink. A second round, a second separation. I know it's a technicality. If you want to know more about it, please reach out later on and I can go into the details, just to have it mentioned. Now you have seen in the video that there are a number of inks available. So this is also one of the really good and great advantages of this press. We have up to 7 ink stations that we can load onto this press. Now we have, of course, our main inks, yellow, magenta, cyan, and black, but we can add 3 different inks if we want to. At the moment, we have loaded a white ink, we have loaded orange, and we have loaded specific Pantone, which is like a pinkish Pantone. It doesn't correspond to the violet that we see here at the moment, but this is what we have loaded at the moment. You can, of course, change these. You can put a green, for example. You can put other Pantone colors. You can put transparent, even invisible yellow that my colleague Christina mentioned earlier on for the book that you have seen in the presentation. And this allows us to really open our range of applications. We can hit Pantone colors easily. Up to 97% of all the Pantone colors that exist in the world basically can be matched using this technology. And we can have special effects like the invisible yellow we saw earlier on, or transparent inks that work like a digital watermark, etc. So that are really things where you want to add value. This is where this machine really plays along and where it really works well if you want to. If not, you stay with our 4-color configuration and you print that, and it has a really good quality on a really high number of different substrates in media. To give you an idea how that looks like, let's have a quick peek at our ink cabinet. My colleague will stay here and we'll just zoom in a little bit. And here we will see from the distance, these are our ink cans. So we have our premium white, which we see in a moment. We have our cyan, magenta, yellow, black, and then we have violet and our spot ink that we have currently installed for a customer who was asking us, hey, I have this spot ink. Can you please try to print it in CMYK and also in with the spot ink color? And yes, we can. So we asked our colleagues in Israel, they mixed the Pantone for us, and we have it and we tried and we sent the samples to the customer, and we are waiting for his feedback, basically. So that is something we can do for you as well, if needed.
And then I get a question.
Excellent, thank you.
Nice to squeeze it in. Is it possible to print with a transparent varnishing?
No, so yes, so
it's an interesting question. Huh?
It's a very good question. So at the moment, there is not an ink available that would be like a varnish protection. We do have, for example, the transparent ink, or we have a priming ink that you can also put on top of the printed image that allows you to protect it to some extent, but it is nowhere near a water-based or even UV varnished solution. And that is at the moment not possible. What we can do, however, we can have a varnishing equipment connected directly to the press if you want to. If you talk about Harris and Bruno or Trezu, we have adapters to connect these solutions directly to the pile or to the stacker basically, and that the sheet goes directly into that solution and is being varnished if you want to, water-based or UV.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. More questions while I walk back to the main screen. Anything else?
There was somebody who recognized a AM screening in the video.
An AM screening. Oh, that is a very, very good eye. So yes, of course, we usually work with AM screenings. There are FM screenings under development, and there are some betas at the moment. These are only available for our HD solution. So what is HD solution? Now, to make a long story short, well, other way around, to make a long story short, we have our standard 12,000, which has a resolution of 812 dpi, and we also have an HD version, which allows us to go up to 1,600 dpi. And with the 1,600 dpi, we have more screenings. And of course, also we have an FM screening that we are amplifying now more and more.
And then, of course, as Christina already mentioned in the previous session, of course, at the beginning of the webinar, she talked about the books with the invisible inks.
Yes.
So can we have that on this press? Because we couldn't have it on the PWP T250 HD.
You're totally right, but yes, we can have the invisible inks, and the samples you saw on the presentation were actually printed on this very machine using invisible ink. I mean, at least some samples of it. So we can have it on the 12,000, and so it's perfectly possible. It's also possible to install it on the smaller sister, which is the 7K, which is our SRA3 format press. There you can also have it, and you can have it here on the 15K or 12,000 as well. It's possible, yes.
Cool. All right.
Now, while you think about more questions, maybe you want to ask, well, let me print a small proof, because I want to show you something. Now, I've been done a lot of talking, but not a lot of printing. So we're going to do something now. Any more questions while we're waiting for the print?
No, I'm answering. As the colleague before said, they only print stochastic, and that's for the FM screening. But that was on the T series on the PWP. Okay. So I'm trying to type that right now, but now I'm answering live, so I'm going to use the other button.
Very good. So what I've done now, I've clicked the proof button. So I chose a file that usually has 136 pages to only print the first 5, but I print them twice. So I've seen here a 90-gram paper, and on the content, so we have here a 90-gram paper on the content, but the cover is being printed on a 400-gram coated. So here we have a 90-gram uncoated material for the content, and right afterwards we see a 400-gram coated material as the cover. So you can combine the different medias on the fly, even though they are very thin and very thick, no problem whatsoever. So you can easily collate your job using the content and the cover at the same time. You can even use a third media if you want to, because we have three sources, 2 drawers and a pile, to do this with the job if you like to. So that's really, really good, and it really helps you to gain productivity. So that is one thing we can do, but there's much more. So what I will do now is I'm going to print this job into our stacker, and I'm going to print around 250 sheets. It takes around 8 minutes, it tells me. So the machine tells me exactly how much time I need, how many sheets I need for the job to be completed, etc. And the really interesting part now is what we can also do during the printing is we can print into the pile and at the same time run a proof from a different job with a different media, if you want to, into the proof tray. So that allows us to prepare the next job while we're printing the current job. And again, that allows us to gain a lot of productivity. Now let's see, my colleague maybe can take the camera for a moment and we can have a look down here just to show you that we're really printing. He's going to take it gently so that you don't get dizzy with all the earthquakes and movements around. Bit by bit, don't worry, we have 8 minutes of printing, so take your time. And if we go down here, you see now the sheets are coming in and we're printing. So the pile is still pretty far up, so you might see only a little bit of paper, but over time, of course, that will fill. Now, what I will do is while I'm printing, we're going to check another file, and I'm going to print 2 copies of that file. And I want to show you something with it. So we are printing still. I hit this button. I hit the proof button, and while I hit this proof button, it takes now maybe 15 sheets, 20 sheets, and that the machine needs to squeeze in the other job and send the other job now to the proof phase. So let's see about that. We go to the proof phase. So we are still printing, and while we're printing, we basically now send the extra job onto the proof tray. 1 second, takes a moment, because as I mentioned, it just needs to find the right timing and to basically take the moment to squeeze the sheet in. So here we see we have a duplex print. By the way, I said there are 2 sheets and wanted to have 2 copies, so we have them here, 4 copies in total. We see we have a duplex print. This is again a 400 400 gram material coated. We'll continue printing into the stacker. And here we see something. This here is our spot ink that we have installed in our station number 7. So that is a spot ink, while the rest of the images are CMYK. This background is a spot ink that we can easily introduce inside the print. Really, really nice. This machine also, this job also has a logo. Now this is our HP logo, and the HP logo is using a partially violet ink to really get closer to our Pantone, our HP Pantone. So here again, we're using our technology to really match the Pantones in the best possible way, and to have the best possible results. So that is a really, really strong method that you can do here. You have several inks, and you can print and proof at the same time. You don't lose time. You boost the productivity. Now, there's one more job I want to show. No, 2 more jobs, but a specific media that I want to show you, because I think that's really, really beautiful. And that is the black media that we have seen before. So the black media can be used together with white ink to create really nice effects, nice contrast, etc. We are still printing into our palette. I just hit the proof button. We should now see in a moment 6 pages or 6 sheets on black media with white ink. And again, take a few sheets until the machine finds the moment to squeezes them in. I think I hear it coming up. You don't hear it because of the noise cancelling. So here you see a blanket cleaning. So the cleaning basically is the way how we clean our blanket. We don't do it manually. We do it basically with this print cleaner. So now we see the sheets coming out with our white ink. 1 second. And here again, we combine actually 2 materials. The banner sheet, we have a banner sheet with different information on top of them, the name, number of sheets, the destination, which kind of material was used. This is optional, you can print it or not. But what actually I really want to show you is, of course, our print with the white. And now with the camera, maybe you don't see it as well as I would like you to, but it is really, really nice. You have a nice contrast, you have great detail. It is really, really beautiful to print these kind of images on this kind of material. And you can use them, of course, as your book covers, no problem at all, and combine it to make them an eye catcher, etc. Now, this is only white. Of course, we can combine white also with the other inks. So for that, I have one more file for you before we're going to move to the 100K. Let me just quickly check that everything is correctly set up. And it is perfectly well out on subset, but I think this one is also good. So let's print a proof of that. Now, again, I hit the proof button and we are still printing. And maybe my colleague can just for a moment roll over and see this here. So we are still printing into our stacker. So you see the sheets passing here. Here we go. And these are the sheets of the 90 gram uncoated. We are printing. Now it's taking a small pause because now we're going to see the black paper coming in. Here we go. And here we see really, really nice images. You see the contrast. And this is really only white and CMYK. But if you look at the shininess here that you have on the lip, the really nice contrast, it's really beautiful. It's really, really eye-catching. And especially when you look at books and you want to see them on the shelf, maybe in the shops or wherever it is, if you create these kind of effects, there is a lot of attention that you can draw. Also, you can see here very beautifully, if you zoom in a little bit, we have the skin of that woman. It's very detailed. Let me check. So you see all the different skin particles, etc. And it's a really nice, a great artwork, and really, really beautiful. Again, if you want to come over, if you want us to print some of your files, we can do that, and you can see them up front, really close to see and check the quality for yourself. And I believe you might also have received some samples. Very good. Now behind me, the machine is still printing. We are at 200 out of 270 sheets. I'm going to stop now because the printing was good. Everything runs smoothly, no problem whatsoever. And we have seen that we have printed on 3 different materials on the fly. The machine didn't stop, and we continued with our production, and we at the same time prepared the next jobs for printing and production. So that is really, really good. Very well. Now, that was the 12,000/15K.
Oh, don't run away.
Yeah, I would want to go to the 100K now, unless you have a question.
Yes, of course, there are questions. You know, there are some questions here, like, are there wide gamut ICC profiles to make CMYK++ separation for the Indigo press? I can say yes. We have.
That was very fast. So you say yes, and I'm good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, of course, there's a question there. Are there any printers able to print the white ink and then white gamut plus in Eastern Europe? Yes, there are. If they have an HP Indigo digital sheet fed press, and especially if those are the B2 presses, yes, they can. They have 7 ink stations, and we can fit them up from black to 6 Pantones, or black with 5 Pantones and white. We can do almost magic with these presses. So yeah, you need to find a PSP who has a HP Indigo B2 press, and they are the ones which can do and perform these kind of things. And this press setup as here, you know, we have a Pantone now. We could also submit a UV ink to it and also submit white to it. So then we can print white with UV on black materials. And it's not really rocket science anymore. Although from a selling point of view, it is rocket science.
Yes, thank you, Wien. Exactly. Just to add on to that, of course, you or the PSP can start with a 4-color configuration. And if you see, oh no, actually I need a 5th or 6th or 7th station, we can always add them. And also, as I mentioned before, we installed a 12,000. Now we have a 15K in the market. No problem. Most of the new innovative elements can be upgraded. You can upgrade your machine to protect your investment. So that is really, really powerful also for that technology, that you can really grow with that technology, and you can fit it to your needs if you want to.
And that's especially for the 12,000 and the 15K. Yes. So the 12,000 can be upgraded with a value pack, and the 15K can be equipped with an HD, and a 12,000 with a value pack can be upgraded with an HD. But there is a press that doesn't have 7 ink stations and still called an Indigo.
Very true. That's the 100K. Thanks for the transition, Erwin. I will walk over to the 100K, and we will have a look at that machine and why this one is also super cool and really important. Come with me. I will change the headset. Excellent. So I changed the headset, and I think you should have a proper communication. Excellent. So behind me now is the HP Indigo 100K. Now that is our new flagship press, the production beast, the machine born to run. Now, why is it called like this? Because the 12,000 or 15K, what we've seen is the Yes press. We can do everything with it. We can print on all these different medias with all these different inks and special applications, etc. And we print around up to 4,500 sheets per hour is simplex. That is the maximum speed we can have on a 15K. Now on the 100K, it looks a bit differently. If you look above this shoulder, you see the ink cartridges, and you see there are only 4. So it means we have 4 inks available for this press at the moment. In future, we will have a 5th ink station. But the idea of this press is actually really to do production, and to focus less on these niche, high-value applications, because we have higher speed and higher productivity. we print up to 6,000 sheets per hour, simplex, or 3,000 sheets duplex. And we have a lot of different tools in place that allow us to keep the machine running even more than the 15K. And I want to show them to you right now. What I will do is I will hit print in a moment. And what we're going to print while I do the production is a book for a school in Guinea. So we're running a charity project, and we are running many charity projects. And here we have a collaboration with different NGOs, and they sometimes ask us to print something for them, be it educational or health, etc., for the NGOs, for schools, for whatever it is. And today we're going to print around 600 sheets of a school book, which they use in Guinea, and they're going to paint, and they're going to learn something about the animals and everything. So you can't see it very well in the camera. So here, this is just black in this case, and then they're going to draw. And at the moment, they can't fly over to Guinea, so they're going to fly in May. But we're going to print today, and while we print, we're going to talk about the machine, and we're again going to see a few more extra options and a few more applications that really stand out and make it look really nice. So what I will do is I will move my screen here. Maybe my colleague can come and can maybe zoom in a little bit, even with that camera, whatever you want, and we can start printing. The machine basically tells me that we're going to print for 13 minutes. And in these 13 minutes, we're going to print a job that is this job that I've shown you. We're going to print into our stacker. And I've just seen, okay, the machine says, okay, now let's do something else. Let's do first the color calibration to make sure the colors are white. While we do that, while the machine starts printing and calibrating, let's have a look again at the feeder. And sorry for the small change. And then we're going to go over and go to the next sections while we move along. Now,
so if anybody has any questions, please move them into the Q&A. Now, I think that at the end of this demo, it's also able that you can raise your hand, and that you can actually audio yourself, so that you can actually ask questions live to Adam and to myself. So if you want to speak up and you don't want to type, then it's okay. Then raise your hands, and we'll open up your audio channel, and then we'll get you live into the broadcast.
Excellent, exactly. Thank you, Wien. So here, the main difference, well, the design is a bit different, it's more modern, etc. Great, but the main difference is here we can have up to 4 drawers and a pile. Now on the 15K we saw 2 drawers, here we have up to 4 drawers if we want to. Now, and that again allows us to store more media. If you talk about 150 micron thick media, we have up to 13,000 sheets in here. If you talk about a book cover, which is thicker, obviously it's going to be less because you have a thicker material. And if you have very thin paper, obviously it's going to be more for the content pages. Excuse me. And so this is something. Now, all of this, the entire machine is being optimized for production, meaning all the parts are being optimized for long lifespans. We don't need to change them very often. The idea is to really keep this press running. What I of course can do while I'm printing, the machine actually is indicating which drawer is being used at the moment. It's the pile. If I use the pile, I can easily open the drawer here, and I can load new media while I'm printing. I will do that later on, and I will show you how that works live. That is the idea. Now, that is all pretty much similar to what you've seen in the 15K. What is the main difference? Now, there is a really interesting new concept. It's very innovative, and it's the first time that it exists in digital printing, and that's called a PGR, the pre-gripper rotor. What is the PGR? The PGR is an offset-like gripper-to-gripper transportation unit. My colleague will come a bit closer with the camera. We will see it in a second, and we will run it at full speed in a moment. So this PGR, and I have to wait. Okay, here we go. This is the unit. At the moment, it's not rotating. It will rotate in a second. That allows us to be very stable in paper transport. no matter whether we are working at 70 grams or at 450 microns or 70 microns, whether it's simplex or duplex, whether we're changing from one paper to another paper, that is all no problem. So here we see a moment it was in action, and actually we're going to see more speeds just right now. It's going to start and really run along. And this unit allows us to have a very precise image placement. Precise image placement means 0.2 millimeters sheet to sheet image placement, and again, a very stable transport mode. I let the audio kick in for a moment just for you to listen to the sounds. It's coming in, 1 second. My colleague will check this sound. Don't worry. You see on the split screen a slow motion which was taken on early on to see how this PGR works. So the sheet is dropping in, it's coming in from the side, it's falling down thanks to gravity, it's aligning itself, the gripper bites in, it takes the sheet and it hands over. So I will cancel the noise. So my colleague is still looking at the audio. But while we see this, so you see the sheet is falling in, it's being gripped, and it's handed over to the grippers of the impression drum. Now, and that is really good because it allows us the very stable transport and a really precise image-to-image or sheet-to-sheet image placement. That is how that one works, and very reliable, very stable. That's the idea. Good. That is the PGR. Very good. We can, I think, take the video out, and if the audio is there, we can try it again. If not, we move along. Oh, my colleague says maybe, and if not, we try. Okay. Okay. We don't hear it. Don't worry. We're going to have a look. We're going to move on. We're going to move on and look to the next part of the machine. Now, if we look to the next part of the machine, actually, this looks very similar to what you have already seen a moment ago. Now, what you can also see here, if you look closely, the bits are engaging, disengaging one after the other very quickly. For each color, for each separation, it is basically rotating and engaging and disengaging very quickly, and the whole unit is under movement, and of course is printing up to 6,000 sheets an hour. So here we see the bits engaging live, very nice. Okay, that is that. The whole technology is very similar to what we have seen. There are some improvements, yes. There are some improvements towards the 15K. I don't want to go into much detail. For you to know, faster speed, higher productivity, because you don't have to maintain that much anymore. We have reduced maintenance, maintaining the parts, because we changed some parts, and we have even better image quality thanks to some new motors and some new consumables that allow us to really be even more homogeneous in our prints and more consistent. If you want more details about the really technical parts, let's schedule a private session. I'll tell you all about it. To really look at what else is interesting and beneficial on this machine, let's move towards the stacker area, because that is really where we can have a few nice things to see. Now, in the stacker area, we have here our main stacker, very nice, where we are printing into at the moment. So what I can basically show you is we have at the moment, we have here 2 cameras running as a standard inside the press. So these cameras come with the press inside the pile and on the stacker pile, and you see the sheets are coming in, are floating in, no problem whatsoever. Now, while we're doing this, we can do several things. We have here on top of the stacker our spectrophotometer. That is very new. So here we have our spectrophotometer, which will kick in a moment. It will still take a moment so you can come back to me. So, and what happens here is what we can do is we can do a color calibration while we are printing into the stacker. Really good, really important, because it again saves time. It keeps the color consistency high, and it allows us to keep the machine running. We actually have a small image for that. I don't know whether we have it available right now, which shows us a print run of around 4,000 sheets. And in this print run, we basically measured the delta E, and we were staying between 0.6 and 0.8 delta E throughout the 4,000 sheets, thanks to this parallel color calibration method. We can choose how often that calibration should be done. It can be every 200 sheets, every 300 sheets, every 500, as you wish, and according to your needs. So that works really, really well. Now, of course, while I'm printing that, I can do other things. We're still printing this job very nicely. I look at another print, and I'm actually going to do one print here. And let's have a look at our proof tray. So I'm going to print another job. We're printing at the moment on 170 grams uncoated media, and now we're going to print on a thicker media, and we see also speed. This is 6,000 sheets per hour. This is 6,000 sheets per hour. Bim, 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 bim. Simplex, 6,000 sheets per hour. 6,000 sheets per hour can be reached when you print up to 3 colors. 3 colors means that we don't have black use. I'm just pointing to my colleague. Here we have the parallel color calibration. Everything works running on the fly. So this color calibration is right now happening while we're printing into the stacker. And here we go. And now the values of this color calibration will be applied on the fly as long as they are within a certain tolerance. If the values differ a lot, then they will not be applied on the fly. The machine will wait until the job ends. That one job ends, so that there is no jump inside the color within the job. And towards the end of the job, it will do a full color calibration and then apply the new values for the next job. So that is what you can do during print. You can do a color calibration, and the machine will keep itself stable and really nice. There are more options. I might cover them in a moment, but right now I want to show you something else. Variable data printing. Let's turn it around. So here, variable data printing. So what does it mean? It means we have, I can show you that under the camera. Before I show you to do that, I'm going to print the same job in 4 colors, just for you to see. Now, this is a 3-color print. And this 3-color print, there is no black inside. Even though we have here our black tagline on the top, you see it here. It's a black tagline. And you see CMY. One second, it will focus. Here we go. CMY. Oh, so I take my finger away. It was my finger that was disturbing it. So you see at the end of the line CMY. So you see the Fedrigoni So Arena material, and then CMY for cyan, magenta, and yellow. Very good. Now you also see that here my colleague Susanna, she modified the file and she added names. So of course every single unit can have different names. Every cover can be different. It can have different names, different images, etc., whatever you want. So these are names from our participants list. So I hope you recognize yourself, and I hope we spelled you correctly. But this is something we can do easily. Of course, the power of digital print is variable data printing. So you personalize your books, you make them really personalize and customize them for your customers. Very good. So yes,
now Adam, just if I print a hyper personalized book, so
yes.
but so the cover is personalized and the content, which is monochrome, which is in black, will be personalized as well. Can I then do I then run it in EPM and then start a new job in monochrome to print black, because you're replacing the black with EPM, because then the monochrome page will be printed in 3 colors? Or
okay, yeah, very true. So what is completely right. The question is very important. Now, if we have a job where we have a book and we have in some pages an image, and on another page we have only text, or most of the pages are only text, then the pages with only text can be printed in black only. And the pages where it's text and image, we're going to print the image and the text in 3 colors. So we don't waste 3 colors on a text only page. The machine can distinguish that. You can set this up if you want to.
thank you.
Also, I want to quickly show you. So this here is the CMYK version, you can see it in the end. I will quickly want to cut it open for you, and I want to put one next to the other, so that you can just see. I mean, you will see it better with the in front of you, but still, I want to show you a little bit how close they are and how well you can combine 4-color and 3-color printing. So here we have the 4-color, just for you to see. Here we have the 3-color. This is then the 4-color, where the tagline is in a different area. And we combine now the 3 and the 4, and you will see that the differences are really marginal. It is really, really good. You can have a lot of jobs being printed on the EPM because it is really, really high quality as well. And that allows you high productivity and still very good quality. So that is that. Perfect. Let's keep printing. Now we have seen VDP printing for that. I want to show you something else. For example, here I have a job. We printed now on 1 second. I see here the screen will turn off in a few seconds, so we have to keep the screen alive. So we have printed now on uncoated material, for example, 170 grams, on very thick material, on 280 grams. Now what I want to show you, we can also print, of course, on thin coated material. Thin coated material means this is 90 grams satin. So 90 grams satin would be nice maybe for some kind of magazine or something where you say, no, it has to be a bit more high quality wise. And here we see these very nice prints on 90 gram material. 90 gram coated material, coated satin. So that is, of course, also no problem. And you can do that while the machine is printing. You can choose between one job and the other. No problem at all. Very good. This is, again, publishing very well. No problem to do that and to go that. Good. That is some of the things. Now, I told you before that we can basically here we don't see much. We can come back to my view exactly that we can print on all of these that we can print on all of these different media on the fly. We don't need to stop the press. Everything is very productive and excellent. Now, I mentioned to you that we can do the color calibration on the fly while printing. There's something else we can do. We can set this machine to check our print quality standard according to industry standards. For example, FOGA 51. FOGA 39, FOGA 52, GRACOL. There's an Indigo standard. There's a G7 standard, which is actually certified on the fly, not on the fly, but let's say remotely. We don't need to have anybody coming in to measure. We can send our measurements directly from here to the G7 Certification Institute. They check the measurements and they will give us the certificate without coming here. So that is really, really powerful, and that is thanks to the SPM that we have installed here on the on that press. Just for you to have an idea how it looks like. Now, it looks like that. If you print a FOGA standard, for example, we see a number of patches that are being printed, and the respective photometer will measure them, and it will check whether they are within the FOGA standard, yes or no. If they are, great. If not, it will tell you which color might be out of the spec, and then we can do a color calibration or check whatever might be needed. So that is very, very easy. Good. Now, I have a few minutes left, and I want to choose these minutes to show you 2 more materials and another file, which looks really nice. And what we can do is we're going to change the paper. Let's have a look. Let's change the paper. Let's, for example, take our 350 gram material out that we used early on. We used a 90 gram material, we used 70 gram material, 90 gram material, satin, for example, we used 170 uncoated. And what I wanted to show you now is a Constellation Snow. Now, Constellation Snow is a material with a nice texture. I don't know, you might know it. It's really, really nice because it gives, again, an added value to your prints. And what I can just do now, even while the machine is printing, if I want to, I just take the sheets out, I put the new sheets in, and all of this, again, can be done while printing, no problem. And I will tell the machine, of course, which material is loaded right now. Okay, I will come back and come to the better camera. I see it was a bit blurry. Now what I will do, I will just quickly tell the machine that I loaded the new material and that we want to print with it. Now what we can do, and I want to show you that again because I think that is really, really nice. We have here the material, two different substrates, and let me just check it. Yeah, very good. And we're going to print it maybe twice just for you to see. Oh, very good. No, good. So what I want to show you now is that we can again combine different materials very easily, and that we can use thin media like 70 grams. Now we're going to print on 70 grams for the content and on this nicely structured material for the cover. So that is a really, really good thing to do. Okay, now machine is all ready to go, and we hit print again. Here we go. Now, that again is just to see the versatility of the presses. Now, we mentioned before this machine has no HD at the moment. It has only 4 colors at the moment. Yes, because it is really focused onto the production world. We want to print and print and print. And if I said before that we are faster here because of the for the print speed, that is true. We have 30% more print speed than the 15K or the 12,000. And thanks to the spectrophotometer on top of the stacker and other improvements, we can be up to 50% faster than a 15K. So here we come. So here again we have very thin media, 70 grams offset, 70 grams. So really, really nice and thin. And then as a cover material, straight afterwards, 300 grams in as a cover. So again, a really good combination, no problem whatsoever to change these things. And here I want to show you on with our camera that the ink is actually respecting the paper settings. So if you look into the trees, you see this horizontal lines. The horizontal lines, they are from the paper. This is the paper texture. Let's see if you can see it here. Maybe you can see it down here a bit better in the sky. I've seen it before very nicely. Let's try turn it around. Here we don't see it so much, but you can see it. It's almost too bright now. Before I had a really nice setting. It depends at which distance the camera looks is. Then here you can maybe see it nicer on this area. That the texture is really respected by the ink. All of these lines of these patterns that you see here on this side, there you see a pattern. This is the ink respecting the texture of the paper to make sure we have high quality and we make use of this special paper. Very good. Now we have seen a lot. I hit the last time print and then I leave you alone basically because I have done a lot of different things. Now what we have seen so far is versatility on the 15K, productivity on the 100K. And that is the main difference. The technology is the same. Quality for both is really good. Offset-like quality, print quality, thanks to a blanket and thanks to a pip foil, a plate basically. And that is really allowing you to use this press either as a combination to the PWP because you really want to print covers and covers and covers, but you can also see that with 70 gram of uncoated material or 90 gram coated, you can print small books, you can print small magazines. Maybe you only need 20, 30, 40 copies, and then this machine might be just the right fit for you as well. And what I just want to show, because I just printed a few sheets, is one of our last options that I want to present to you. And we've talked about variable data printing. Now we have seen different names earlier on, but you can also have different backgrounds. If you look at this flyer, basically, you see that this background is different from this background. And this background here, down here again, differs from the one above. Now all of this is done with a software that is called Mosaic. And this software allows you to zoom in into a certain file, let's say an image or vector, and to basically create different versions of that one image. And you basically rotate it, you zoom in, zoom out, and every unit will be different, and it will be done automatically. So you can have a personalized version of a book, or maybe 100 different or 1,000 different versions, all personalized and different, without needing to designing them manually. It's done automatically using an algorithm that you even can control. Very good.
Great, Adam.
That's from my side. Please, if there are any questions, let me know.
Yeah, there was one remark I saw coming from one of the guests, that the video didn't really capture the fine lining details. Yes, and
Sorry
I do have to say, no, I do have to say that if we have a fully fledged demo on a individual engine, then we have some more tools available, but we are stretched out of USB cables at the demo center. So we have high qualities over there, and we can actually go in there with a loop, and if required, reach out to Starlet, and we can actually send you the samples of those fine lines, and you can really put your loop onto it, and then give us the feedback on the stuff over there. So therewith, I would like to thank Rafa. I would like to thank Adam on the great demo, showing 2 presses off in one demo. It's a unique one. That's really good. As said, the question and answer panel is open. The chat panel is open. The communication channels to Starlet are open as well. So if you want to contact the people from Starlet, please let us know. If you now have any questions and you would like to verbally, would like to talk to the team in Barcelona, let us know. Raise your hand and we'll allow you to talk. There is in the chat currently, there is a link to a feedback form, because your feedback is important to us. It makes us improve and to see if we can do it better than we did today. So are there any more questions? Or Yanis, are you still online?
Yes, Rien,
it's almost on demand. It's really good.
Yes, Rien, of course, we are online, and I also want to thank you, all the participants who participated. And as we started maybe with smaller audience during the demo, it grew up. And I just want to also mention that this demo was recorded, and we will send out also the recordings that you can see maybe the beginning which you missed, and maybe take notes about the presentation which was shown in the beginning. And of course, as you said, also it's we are always happy to print some demos, individual demos, samples, test your papers, and everything what you want to see from HP Indigo or PageWide presses. So only contact us, and I'm sure we will contact also you in the near future, so we can talk about this demo and maybe plan some further steps.
Yes, and also I see that Onno just came online, just returning from another PWP customer. So and also I can understand, if you see all this technology, you go like, this is going to cost a lot of money. So not only do we offer you to see the presses live, test your samples live, test your materials live, but also to sit together with you and calculate the economics of those machines, because they can print amazing and the quality is outstanding, but at the end of the line, what is it in for the cost per book or per cover? So feel free to reach out to the team. As you see, there is an elaborated team here which is here to support Starlet and to support you with your future decisions. So
and Rien, I mean, you're also an old timer within HP. It's not about the cost. What does it bring to your company?
Exactly.
That's the right question.
So I think today we showed we actually showed off with the team in Barcelona on quite a lot of possibilities. Let it sink in for a day or two. And then you will get, your first questions will come out and your first inspiration will come out, and you go like, can I do this? Can I do that? And then reach out to us and go like, all right, guys, you told me it will bring more to my company, and Onno and Yanis will definitely overwhelm you with just a few other ideas what these technologies of PWP and Indigo can actually bring to your market in your region.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Then I look at my screens and I see that I have no further questions. I do have a feedback form. That brings us then to the top of the hour. Closely, it's very silly to say I'm going to give you 1 minute back of your time. So on behalf of the whole team, I would like to thank the team in Barcelona. I know you guys pulled off quite some work to run this demonstration. Big thanks to Christina, who just came over from the virtual Drupa and flew into this meeting. It's amazing that we can have people so quickly together in such a great virtual environment. But trust me, seeing the real deal, it's much better. I'm actually trying to do it someday soon. So, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
well, thank you very much for your time, and then we can conclude this meeting. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining. Speak
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.